Good evening, everybody. Bees all day on another Monday night. The link is pinned to the top of the chat in YouTube, and I got Clay in here tonight. I got Brian from Colorado, Flower Street. I got Chris from Bees, Nuts, and Honey. I got Jonathan Stevens. Good to see you in here tonight. I got Mike in here from Vermont. Let's see, who else do we have? We got Keith. Good to see you in here. I saw where you said you got dug out today. Um, Dennis Sherrill's in here. Let's see, who else? Perry Co. Bee Company. Joe, good to see you in here. And right now, that's it. We got 32 people. There's Dustin Wade, Bill Lee. How are you tonight, Bill? And Hallelujah Bee Farm. So good to see everybody in here tonight. Mark Zenner, Chris Combs, Iowa Lands Beekeeping. You're new. That's a good thing. So good to see everybody in here tonight. I'm glad to have everybody here. So how did everybody fare with the storm? So Peabody said they used a dirt shovel to clean their driveway. No, not snow, but ice. How much ice did you get, Peabody? So, see, everybody's still iced in. Everybody cleaned in front of their hives off, I hope. Yeah. Larry and Jan and Ms. Leona watching from South Carolina. Good to have you in here. So, I'm assuming Charlie's coming. It's hard to tell by him right now. He might be working or he's on another chat. One of the two. So we're in a meeting. It's hard to tell. So how warm did it get down there today, Keith? Did it get real warm down there? You said the sun helped you out. Yeah. Atlanta got off easy. Yeah, it did. So it's the wind's blowing here right now. I can hear it. It's starting to rattle the window. So, hey, DC, how are you? Yep. I saw that earlier. Cold down here and windy and 46 today. Yeah. Sounds like everybody did fairly well. So with the quote unquote winter storm. So 35. Wow. That was a big help. Yeah, it didn't get over 25 here today. It's supposed to be cold all week in the 20s. Hey, Pennsyltucky. There he is. Better late than never.
I'm here.
So how are you tonight, Charlie?
A little on the tired side.
Yeah. It's been a long day.
Pushing snow all day.
Yep. That's what I took me an hour and a half to dig my driveway out.
Well, I think I was at it for about 6 hours. Pushing well, that's even with the help from my son on his skid steer. Pushing all the way around the mill and the farm here, and he helped push a lot of that out too. And then went out the road there to my sister's rental property, but they had been cleaned out by somebody, and I guess earlier. But anyway, there was one guy out there. There's a set of houses along the road out through there, and one of our older neighbors, and he's trying to, here he got all this plowed up snow from the road in the front of his mouth of his driveway, and it's ice. you know, and
Yeah.
he's got to be 75, maybe a little older, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
He was out there trying to shovel that stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm coming back up the road. I get out of the way. I just scooped it and went up his. He's had like a hill, like a little bit of a incline driveway. It's a short driveway, and you know, you got the same size tractor I got. You know, the tractor pretty much takes 2/3 of the driveway up. That's how short it is. And I just shoved it, and he had a like a little side parking spot there off to the side. He said, "Push it." He pointed there, and I just shoved all the snow over there out of his way and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's what we've been on. Hey Clay and Keith and hey Mike and DC.
Yep.
Hey Steve.
DC said he started the winter with 8. He's down to 6, and he lost his smallest and his oldest. So he's got good stock left to get through the summer and build it from.
Hey Ryan.
Jeff Thomas, how are you?
Hey Ian. And your bees are
Russell,
looking good.
how are you tonight?
Bees are looking good, Ian. And
Yep.
so hey Pastor Larry, DC, Southern Maryland beekeeper. Good to see you again. Haven't seen you for a
Yeah.
while. Hopefully everything's going good down that way.
Yeah, I hope so too. Russell, how are your bees doing?
So I don't know. This Sunday was a I don't know, I guess what was it? Saturday night was the snow was coming in, and I knew we weren't going to do anything with the snow Sunday, and um, and um, so I rendered some wax Friday.
Yeah.
I guess it was Saturday night. I rendered some wax. I guess it was, or Saturday afternoon. Yeah, and I got about 9 pounds out of my cappings. I got one lady who is doing lavender, and she's doing lip balm.
Ah.
And she bought some quote wax off the internet, and, and it didn't do. And she bought I got a 1 pound box. I bought a pound for me.
Yeah.
And
How did it do for you?
well, she said your stuff really did work great. That other stuff was like lousy. And I said it's about half paraffin, most likely.
Yeah, it's got paraffin in it if it didn't do well.
I guess that's what it was. And so she came back and got another pound off of them. And I said, well, and I was like, I had a bucket of wax out there in the building. And I said, well, it's at time of the year that I need to render it out. So it worked out well. And hey, Sarah. And so anyway, got that done. And then I bottled some honey up Sunday, I guess it was.
Yeah.
Just kind of restocked everything. I wasn't down very low, but restocked. And then oh, I don't know. That's about it as far as bee related stuff. I have, the hives are out there. Most of the entrances are open. Some of them are closed up with snow. I seen today, but I let the bees take care of that.
Yeah.
I know that Ian here that's on here, he showed that in the video where the heat, kind of makes a kind of an igloo in there on the front of the landing boards and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
hey, Matt, And hey, Brian. And so some of them had closed up. A lot of them are pretty much open. And I figured, well, we got another 7 days of 20-degree weather. I don't know what's wrong with this.
Yeah, at least.
Of the highs are 24, maybe
Yep.
25 at the most.
They were
And
talking here on the local weather tonight that we might get some more snow next weekend.
yeah, they said the same thing here on Sunday again, on a Sunday. And that kind of crazy stuff. And so it just let's see. I was trying to uh and I guess Ryan's probably been at. Ryan, did you have to go out and fix a bunch of electric wires? I didn't know whether you got a bunch of ice down. We didn't get the ice like everybody says, luckily.
Yeah. Well, y'all got about 11.5 inch snow up there.
Huh?
Y'all got a foot of snow?
No, I'd say more like 8 inches.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
know.
about what we got. We got about 8 inches.
And then I let it. I didn't do anything. It. I don't know. I was up pretty late Saturday night. I don't think it started. It said 11 o'clock. Well, I can guarantee it was after midnight. Sometime it rolled in, and then it stopped snowing. I don't know, 11, maybe 12 at the most, and then it started raining. And I let that sleet crust on top of that snow, so I didn't have it on the on the blacktop area. It's easier to move that way. So
Yeah.
did all that. So that's what I did today, like I say. And I don't know. The sunshine came out. Actually, some of the areas. Of course, it was closer to the highway after maybe some of that salt drifted off. But it a lot of my some of my blacktop actually was clear. Some of it, not all, not much, but some.
Yeah.
All that. So
So what was
and
your high up there today? Did you get warmer?
yeah, maybe 20s, some 20, 23.
Yeah, it didn't get above 25 here today. I was outside this afternoon in a tractor and just it did it did not get warm enough to warm the inside of the tractor up without the heat on.
Well, I had to run the heat, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It was 24 degrees today.
Yeah, usually if I'm in the tractor working, the sun coming through the windows will warm that cab up.
Well, I had to turn my heat off. I had it one notch on, and I'd go for half an hour, and then have to turn it off.
Yeah.
I still had a bunch of clothes on.
You got a bigger cab than I got too.
It's the same size as the one that's over in your shed at the farm. Same tractor.
Yeah, that's a bigger cab than mine. So
And then your smaller
I was
tractor.
on a little tractor today.
Yeah.
They were using the big one to push snow at food line at Walmart. So
What about Walmart? I was reading it.
they were pushing snow at Walmart.
Oh yeah, there's a
Yeah.
Walmart in there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
You
right.
get a
Yeah,
Walmart.
yeah, that's around the corner.
We're not that far behind, Charlie.
Now you're on. Yeah, it's on the other side of town. There. I was reading James Knowles' comment. Well, can't stent blockage too hard. Hard veins will explode.
Can't stent blockages in hard veins will explode. Somebody's going to was supposed to evidently get a stent.
Yeah, they got to do a rotor-rooter system and get rid of that. If you got the vein walls are hard, they'll
Yeah. Yep.
and all that. And I don't know about that. I do know a friend of mine's son passed away, and of course he had cancer. And there's a vein that goes from the, I'll say an arterial vein goes down to the liver, I believe it is, and the doctors won't touch it because they can't really repair it. And they had put a stent in it because it had collapsed.
Mm,
And the stent is made out of metal, the way I get it, and it's mesh. And after a while, it will actually cut through the vein, and that's
mm.
the cancer didn't get him. He bled out basically. So
Wow. That's
you know,
that's not
and
good.
yeah, he's only 40 years old and all.
Wow.
Something else.
Yeah.
Anyway, but um, interesting thing. I was watching a video. This one lady, I'll say she's slightly on the inexperienced level, and she was feeding her bees, and she put a global patty in there, and then she had some strong microbial fondant, the little strips,
Yeah.
I guess because they're on sale. And so she put those two things side by side. Of course, she came back. Now, I don't know how long it's been since they were in there, but the fondant was gone, and the patty, the global patty, was just sitting there, not being touched, and all that stuff. But I kind of looked at it this way. It was like this is the wrong time of year to be putting a global patty in. Now, I think she was in the.
Yeah.
I think I've seen her before, and I think she's down in the Carolinas. Southern South Carolina.
Uh,
You
that,
know, but it's still kind of snowy and rough down there right now. And,
well, I mean, they were in the 40s today, from what I understand, as a high. It's supposed to
right.
be cold tonight. I mean, they don't really produce brood year round down there, but they do produce some brood in the winter more than what we think, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, Carl.
Hey,
Um, hey, Joey. Yeah, we're doing good, Joey. We're warm. At least I am.
I am. It's been warm all day.
And Larimore, I think what they're talking about with James is the fact that they want to do probably a bypass surgery because you can use the leg veins and put them up in the heart area if you need a bypass.
Yeah. If you can find leg veins that are in good shape.
So, anyway, well, I'm pretty much cleaned up. I don't know. We're not going to do too much as far as the mill goes. I think everybody's tired. Told to
Yeah.
help. Told to help to stay home tomorrow, and I'm sure he was cleaning all day too,
Yeah.
and all that. So we don't have
Well,
a tremendous amount of orders to get out.
it'll pick up. It'll pick up.
I got one for the Navy, but other than that, it's about it. A little small order.
Yeah.
So anybody wants to come in, we got the link
Yeah.
dropped. We can talk bees of some sort, hopefully.
Yep.
But she did have some. The same video I was watching. She had some small bee bites, the little, you know,
The
granola
little
ball.
ones.
Yeah, the granola. She said she had not put them in yet.
Ah.
Yeah, I was kind of curious when I seen that, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Um, hopefully, I mean, I put the bee bites in there, and I put the super fuel in there along with Matt's fondant that what I had left over. So hopefully the bees will get through here in the next. We'll have enough energy sources and direct contact to food that
Yep.
they'll get through this here cold spell because I don't really want to open them up. Hey, Joseph, Joey, and
Hey, Joey.
so hopefully that'll get them through. I got one nuke out there that was pretty small. They had some of that fondant from Matt, and they hadn't eaten it all, and they're underneath of it.
Yeah, those I had to end up doing a little bit of research for my hey Dave,
How's it going?
how are you today?
Same old.
Yeah.
How are y'all?
Hey Ryan, this is the Southern Maryland beekeeper, and I forget where Ryan's at. I think he's down there next to the Potomac River and the ridge, going over where the big coal factory is there. Electric plant on 301, 3 and 301.
I was over in Calvert County, I think.
That's going over into Virginia there.
3 and 301.
Oh, yeah.
That's Dahlgren.
That's Dahlgren. Yeah, Dahlgren. Never mind.
Yeah,
I was thinking
what
Calvert
county
County
is
power
that?
plant over there.
Huh?
I was thinking the power plant over. I think it's over in Charles County. But
Yeah.
No, it's right there next to the river.
yep.
Anyway, I was trying to find your listing, but I couldn't find it. So how's the he's in Charles County. That's where he's at. Ryan is. But so how's the bees coming along? You're doing quite well the last time we were talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for Monday or the 1st of December, I went and winterized them, and I put Hive Alive patties on them, the 2-pound patties, and I just went and checked last Monday. I have all 10 hives still, and they barely touch the patties, so that seems good. Some of them ate
What
about
kind of
half the patty.
what kind of patties?
The Hive Alive patty, the fondant patty.
Okay, fondant patties.
Yeah, a couple of them ate about half the patty, and I just went ahead and put a whole nother patty on top of each one of them, so they all got about 2 to 4 pounds each.
Mm-hmm.
And I had one that I was questioning wouldn't make it, but she's still alive.
Well, that's always a good thing. That's a plus right there.
Yeah, I took her. I wasn't going to leave her in the double deep because her hive just died off. Like, I don't know what happened right at the end of fall. Like 50% of her hive just died off, and her numbers were not like the rest of them. So I went ahead and dropped her down to a single deep, and I put her on top of another hive with a double screen.
Okay.
I'll be looking for it, Matt. Yeah, I don't know. I think mine were. I fed them sugar water, but I was concerned because they had not brooded up like they had in the past because I used Apricard, shut the queen down, and I did it too long because of weather conditions. And I was concerned that I would fill the brood nest up where they couldn't lay anything, and I shut the sugar water off. Ryan wants to know where you're located at, Dave.
No, near Leonardtown.
Near Leonardtown?
Mm-hmm.
And that what county is that? St. Mary's?
St. Mary's. I'll pull the chat up.
Yeah, next to Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And so anyway, I'm putting the fondant on. This is something new for me to do. And Matt's fondant, they're just devouring it. And I'm wondering whether or not because they're so close. They got honey in there, but they can't move a whole lot. So I'm making sure it's right on top of them.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the key things that I'm kind of learning this year or this winter with it's not so much emergency food, but it's more of an insurance policy, making sure that they don't run out of contact with food. So it's working so far.
Yeah, I was debating getting the 5-pound fondant patties to like finish the year off. and just set it off, and then they still have something to nibble on in the early spring.
Yeah.
Well, I looked at that. You know, they got a two pounder and a 5-pounder, and I'm like, how fast does a hive take a 2-pound patty down of hive alive? I mean, on average. I mean, there's some will probably gobble it down, and some of them take a long time. I've seen it. I've watched what I've seen on videos.
Yeah, so my personal, it's like I had about 3 hives, took about half a patty, and that was almost 2 months, and it was the 2-pound patties.
Yeah.
And the rest of them took like a baseball sized chunk out of it. That was it. But yeah, I didn't know what the weather was going to be like. So last Monday was I think it was the warmest day we had up until all this storm came through. But
it was Thursday. Yeah, that's what I did. I took off from work and went out there and resupplied all the hives with fondant, and I happened to have some of these bee bites. I'm trying to get them out. They're not really considered a pollen patty. They're just a little bit of everything, I think, in it, Bill.
Yeah.
They're 15% protein,
But it's not pollen.
but it's not pollen. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. That's all I know.
so if you switched over to pollen patties now, or put something in there, would that start them the really ramping up brood rearing, or is it just
Not
bad?
the way not with this cold weather it is. You know, my personal thing is come February is when I throw the pot like global patties in the past couple of years. Is that I put them in there, and they would probably eat a pound of that per hive in a week.
Yeah, it's a little too early for pollen.
Well, I mean, I don't. Does really global
Couple more
have,
weeks and 3 more weeks, and it'll be about right.
Yeah, I mean, does global really have pollen in there? I think.
Yeah, they do. That's where they get their protein.
Okay.
DC, what are you saying has egg protein in it?
Some of them use that. Well, we were talking about
Some
that.
use it. Yeah, we talked about it.
We were talking about stuff that didn't have pollen in it, but they were using for protein and stuff like that. There was suey and egg and all this different stuff. Harris put pollen on his the first of the month. Yeah, he's an almond pollinator.
Oh, there he is. Mr. Shy himself. How are you tonight?
We got
guys,
10
how are
minutes. We got 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You probably do. I'm just in and out. I just wanted to say hi to you guys.
How are you tonight? I watched your video today, by the way.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was a good one.
Yeah, I'm stuck behind the desk catching up on year-end stuff and trying to get that figured out and get called out to the farm, and I just procrastinate. I don't want to get back from the bees. I don't want to do this bookwork crap. So, wandered in there and gathered some information for Jeff Williams.
And he down in Florida, I think it is.
Auburn University. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Florida, I guess. I'm not.
No,
I'm not
that's
really
Texas.
Texas? Okay. Yeah, I knew it was further south.
I seen the ad about he wanted to get the northern beekeepers to check their brood and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I knew there's some guys with outdoor colonies that are cracking into finding brood, and I'm not sure how much indoor survey he had, so I thought I might as well give him a little bit. So 3 colonies, they were brooding up a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but and then you'll be pulling bees out April, maybe?
Yeah, we got a ways to go yet. We certainly do.
I was wrong.
What's that?
Grammy says Auburn is in Alabama.
Okay, Alabama. I knew it was down in the south someplace.
Yeah, I know it's in the south.
So
it's actually a good little project to do because a lot of, especially us, it's cold up here and we just make assumptions. There's brood, there's no brood. A lot of like, I've dug into colonies this time of year before, and there's not a stitch of brood. So then we see that and we just make assumptions. And then, I'm digging in a little bit to this trophy mite issue, and brood's a big deal. And the idea is that we're broodless through the winter up here. We should be okay. My colonies have brood in there. So how extensive is that brood? Is just a little bit all the time, all through the winter? I think we should take a little more of a detailed look just to see what's going on in there.
Well, talking about that trophy, and I've, there's been a lot of people talking about it and everything, and I really haven't been. I know what it is, and I've, what Sammy Ramsey's talked about it over the years. Does it? Do you is people feel the feelings, the fact that it's right around the corner from us, coming into the side of the country or the world?
Well, I just don't know. I think there is a little bit of hysteria that's kind of crept up for
Yeah, that's what I'm
whatever
saying.
reason.
It's like, for me, it's like, hey, I don't, it's like, it's nice to know, but I don't have nothing to battle it. I mean, I can understand people like Sammy Ramsey and all the science folks wanting to get a jump start on it now, and having maybe some answers when it does finally get here.
What,
I think the
trap
biggest
mite?
thing is, or go ahead, Bill. Sorry.
Are you talking about the trap mites?
Yeah.
Trophy mite, yeah.
Okay. Did a little research on my own and found a lot of information out about them. That the best way to combat them is extended brood breaks and Formic Pro.
Yeah, they've come up with those things, but
They tested oxalic acid, they tested Apigard, they tested Amitraz and Formic Pro on them, and they found that the Formic Pro kills them better because they actually live in the cells. There are very few mites, adult mites on the bees, so oxalic acid, Apigard, and Amitraz is not going to work on them.
yeah.
But the extended brood breaks kills them quickly. After the first 7 days, they die off very quickly. And then the Formic Pro kills them under the caps while they're on the larva.
Well, Sammy, I was at one of his conferences, I guess it was at the time. This has been a couple of years ago when he was over there in Taiwan or Thailand, I guess it was. And he finally got the confidence of the beekeepers over there, and they take paint sticks, wrap it in galls, and they've got formic acid in liquid form over there. They dip it down in there, and they shove that up in a couple sticks up inside the hive. And of course, the bees are like boiling out of there, and it's killing them that way. I mean, and that's how they, got on that kind of a lead as far as what will combat them. But
yeah, I guess the formic kills them quite nicely. The problem is reinfestation, however they get reinfested, or if you miss them, and then you just reproduce so fast.
yeah.
So the treatment, you have to do multiple treatments, I guess, just to stay on top of it. But our strategy is, preventative. There's a bit of spread, and it's creeping closer to Europe, and we do import bees from Europe into Canada. So our association, I'm working on the CHC with the Trophy Mite Committee, just, how important is Italy and maybe some of these places in Europe to our trade, and working with the importers and just trying to, I'm reaching out across the nation, and they get all the presidents on side to hear what they have to say in their membership. And it sounds like we need a unified voice, and, maybe Europe's not that important to us, just to knock it off and just act in a bit of a preventative type manner, instead of waiting for it to get infested into Italy and then have, we don't want it to be too late. So we have a pretty heavy push up here right now to get some things going. We have our government on side. They're working really hard for us. So there's that. And
well, don't you get a lot? I mean, I know when you were bringing them tubes of bees in here last year
from New Zealand. Yeah.
It was from New Zealand. And and they're pretty, I know they got mites now, I think, finally.
They have varroa mite, yeah.
Yeah, they got varroa mites. I mean, usually they kept that out for quite a while. And then Australia kind of got it too. But I don't think they have any trophy over there. I mean, there's
No,
a
no.
neutral spot, you know.
Yeah, New Zealand doesn't have, Australia doesn't have, Chile. Those are our places we import from. But one of the biggest risks that we think it's probably going to hit shore, if it's going to, is through ocean freight. That's how a lot of other pests get spread around. Like, we have these sea cans going from one side of the world to the next, and we just had that example coming from India into Jersey, where they, protocols are followed. That's perfect. And we're just reaching out to our port authorities up here, just making realize the importance of following those protocols, because we have that dreaded, I think it's going to bite us in the ass, that save the bee type mentality.
Yep.
There's bees on, save the bees, so we relocate this nest of bees off a ship onto mainland, and that we can't let that happen. So we've been doing some work with the Port
Yeah,
Authority
no,
just to
we
get
have
the
the
seriousness
yeah,
there.
we have the Port of Baltimore here, which is, I don't know, an hour from my house at the most. And the state inspector for Maryland lives not too far, and she's got swarm boxes on fences down there around the port to capture any bees, and she checks
Oh,
those. And then
that's good.
she had it was several years ago, a BMW or whatever, a car carrier came in. The bees were inside the motor compartment, and they stayed there all the way across the ocean. And then
Really?
when they parked the car in these big parking lots down there for all these car imports, then the bees came out around the wheel well and all that stuff. So they captured them all, vacuumed them up, and the protocol for her and our state is to eradicate them. They don't test them or nothing. They're done with them.
Yeah.
And,
How
and
long
that,
ago was that?
it's been several years ago. From
Yeah.
what she talks about what she does, in one of her um, uh, lectures, I guess you would call it, slide presentations and that kind of stuff. And then,
Well, there you
uh,
go. Like, I was talking to a beekeeper the other day, and he said, "What's the chances a swarm's going to hitchhike off onto a sea can and come across the ocean?" Well, you just provided an example there onto a vehicle, which could have been, easily brought on mainland. So it's,
Yeah.
it's this is a threat. So we don't want to get ourselves worked up in this big little, in a knot of fear and panic. But there's nothing wrong with putting a little bit of preventative measures just to stop these invasive pests from spreading. But the other
mhm,
thing we're doing up here, which I think is important, is sometimes when things come across, let's say the trophy mite, and if it does land in a beekeeper's operation for whatever reason or how, I don't, whatever, government comes down and they have a bad habit of overreach. And, they come down and they put a finger down and destroy that beekeeper's operation, and there's no compensation. He's out of business, right? And then where
mm,
do they're going to start there, and where do they stop? So we're just trying to talk with industry up here just to define that. So I mean, there's going to be let's say trophy mite, there's going to be an initial response. It's going to be quarantine, probably containment, maybe eradication, I don't know. But we need the industry to then, tell the government, where do you want us to stop? Yeah, we want a big quarantine area. We want to try to destroy this thing until it's dead, and then put all those beekeepers out of business, or do we just
oh,
accept it to
yeah,
become, part of the whole thing? There's
per-
example of tracheal mite, where they tried to eradicate it through destruction, and beekeepers lost their bees because of that. And it just happened at that time, it was the early 80s. The price of bees are dirt cheap, so the guys are able to
yeah.
repopulate their
Well, a perfect
operations. But
example is in Australia. Here you got the varroa mite, and they were going to go out and burn everybody out, and they found out. Guess what? It ain't going to happen. It's spread. It's there, and it's you got to deal with it.
that's the discussion we need to have in the industry, is just how do we manage this? Because I think it's very important that industry provides their voice on that. And I'm not hearing a unified voice on that yet. Everybody just doesn't really know what to think about it. So we got
Yeah,
to talk about it. And then when the authorities do act, then industry will be on side. There's always going to be dissenters, but we need to, be
yeah,
on side and unified and move, and just make sure that government doesn't overreach, because they will.
yeah.
Damn right they
Uh,
will.
um, Well, I talked to a beekeeper from Australia on another chat that I get on before my chat. He's on there occasionally, and we were talking about what are they doing over there in Australia, and they did get government approval, emergency approval for I think like Aprivar and something else. And then the beekeepers came back to the legislators and said, "Look, we need to get ApriGuard and a couple other things."
Yeah.
And what he says, "Why? Well, we're not going to make emergency, for it to, just to check it off and approve it." And he said, "Well, you can't. It's the stuff that we've already learned. You got to have multiple treatments in order to combat the mite because they've already gotten used to Aprivar because you went Aprivar for multiple years and it's just one product. And then instead of, let's say, using multiple products and switching it around every year." And he said that's what they're fighting now. Like you said, the darn government, they don't understand what we're doing.
No, that's the reason we need strong associations. That's why we need beekeepers to support that voice just for these times of having to deal with problems of this manner. You want me to throw you a curveball? Here's another problem we have. So we're thinking about restricting access to imports coming into Canada because of trophy mite. But let's say that trophy mite lands in Florida, let's say, for whatever. Okay, so it's in Florida.
Yeah.
Our authorities are going to instantly shut the borders off from all the queens that come into Canada from California. And we're talking like hundreds of thousands of queens coming up. So it is a big freaking deal. Should that happen? Should it not happen? I don't know. It's not up for me to really decide. So we have to talk as an industry.
What happened. What was it? Was it Madagascar? It was an island off of Africa or something like that.
Yes, Madagascar.
They didn't have mites, and they wouldn't let nothing come in. And then somebody said, "Well, we can use just the queen." Well, a mite came in on a queen.
Yep.
And it, within months or a year or two, they have, varroa in that little island, and they didn't have anything because of that.
Yep.
So it just
that's I've been keeping myself busy with association stuff. It's tiresome sometimes, but this is my business and I want to protect it for my future generations coming down the pipe. So I just got to make sure I put enough effort in to help the cause. Yeah.
Well, is
Canada going to do some sort of quarantine on all imported bees from known countries that have them, or?
Oh, we don't import from countries that have trophy. No, we don't do that. No. Okay. We only import bees from countries that are free of the pest.
Okay.
So do you have an association in, I know you're in Manitoba area, but do you have the different provinces together as a group to get there to your government and say, "Look, you need to listen to us"?
Yeah, actually, next Wednesday, I'm going to chair a meeting. Like, I'm the chairman of the Manitoba Beekeepers Association. And this next Wednesday, I've invited all the presidents across Canada. We call it the President's Meeting. And we're going to talk. It's an in-camera meeting. We're going to have a very frank conversation about this issue, just to talk about all these aspects we just talked about here. And hopefully we can find a little bit of common ground and then take that to our CHC, which is our national voice, and then communicate that to government, whichever way we have to. Typically we'd be working through CFIA. We're just losing a little bit of confidence with our CFIA, the feds. So
I wonder if your organization can hire some type of lobbyist for your benefit, and and they know how to work the system and get some positive things for you.
Yeah, they're expensive, and we don't have any money. Very expensive, and they know how to milk you.
Have to come together and put some money in the pot.
Yeah, we're Canadians. We don't have any money up here. We just work with goodwill up here. Yeah. No, it's interesting though, working with beekeepers right across the country. I actually enjoy it. We're all trying to scrape by a living, and we want the best, and everybody has different ideas, and it's neat to sit and collaborate and find direction and some very tough issues. beekeepers will, tell you exactly what they think if you set them down, and they don't necessarily agree, right? And we don't want everybody to agree either, right? We want it's just like a beehive. I mean, this maybe sounds a little corny, but a beehive and the diversity within the nest, which makes them succeed, the same as beekeepers. We're a whole bunch of different individuals that are working at the same thing, trying to achieve this goal of well, we enjoy it, but a lot of us make it our livelihood, right? So we just had to bits and pieces and fit the network together, and like to include our neighbors to the south, and make things work.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just it's like here trying to get like our dosage amounts for oxalic acid. It's finally got approved. It took them for years, and most of it boils down, like you said, Ian, is money. It's
Yeah.
like you got to pay the government off in order to get them to do what you want them to do,
Right.
and all that stuff. Once big corporation got into it, then they put the money to it, and it miraculously got all changed.
Yeah, you guys are really money driven down there. Up here, I guess it's the same up here too. Just our bureaucracy is just stagnant. It's slow. And we ride off your coattails a lot of the time, where you guys get things approved and then we get emergency registration and get things running through that way. And PMRA, we've tried to address the issue, but we can't. They're feds. I mean, they don't listen to us. They don't even know we're here. So
Yeah, because it's like they've been talking about where the bee farming is small compared to, let's say, the beef industry.
yeah, the beef is huge. They have
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
lot
it
of
is.
clout. It certainly is.
Yeah, because everybody eat, well, not everybody, but most people eat meat. They get that.
Everybody wants their cheeseburger.
That's right.
Making
And they
money on
like
the cheeseburger right now, I tell you.
They want their Friday or Saturday night steak to go along with it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. Yeah.
So
Yeah, the meat industry has been really strong. The cattle industry has been as high as ever been. But we're the guys in Canada, the poultry industry, that's the most amount of meat being sold right now is chicken, and pigs are right in the middle there. So there's a lot of protein being consumed. Those guys always told us, a bunch of lying buggers. They always told us that when the price of beef goes up, pork will come in the price, and that's why the price of beef always stayed down. They kept us just scraping by. Here, beef is sky high. The consumer's still buying it. They're buying pork like they haven't before, and they're buying it anyways.
Yep.
I think we got to bump our price on honey 50 cents. It should be the same with honey. Like, gee whiz, but we need just a little bit more to scrape by living here.
Have you seen the price of beef at the stock sales in the U.S.?
Not so much in the U.S., but in Canada, it's pretty strong. Yeah, it boggles my mind, actually.
I don't see how people in cattle farmers in the U.S. can make any money at all with the price of beef at the stock sales. Depends on the grade of the beef. It ranges anywhere from $400 to $600 a hundred.
Okay.
So it's ridiculous. You used to be able to buy a heifer calf weanling for a couple $100. Not now. You're
No.
going to pay $500 or $600 for it.
Yeah, and they're saying a lot of the replacement heifers are going into the market. They're not replenishing the herd or building the herd.
Yep.
So the trends there long term. Excuse me, long term. So it's pretty positive. What we need to do is we have to figure out this funny honey coming into the country. We got to stop that adulterated shit. Like, I have no problem competing against authentic honey. If it's coming in from, let's say India, and it's authentic, then I don't have any problem competing with it. But if it's adulterated, that is a big problem. If it's not being marketed fairly, then it should not be on the shelf. We need to solve that problem.
Yeah, JW just had a 600-pound feeder last at the local sale. He's out there in Illinois. It was $2,000.
Yep.
That's a lot of money. for a feeder.
That's a whole lot of money.
Yeah, my
But
brother's going to have a bull sale coming up in middle of February here, and he's going to sell 180 bulls, and he's got a lot of interest, so he's quite optimistic.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sure he is.
And I know, Doug, we used to, and that was something that I often thought about is, of course, we didn't have tractors with cabs on it, but my dad could go out and buy a brand new tractor, open station for 10, write a check for it, $7,000 to $10,000.
7 to 10 grand.
And now I got a tractor there that I use today with a cab, and it was originally like $80,000, and now it's like $150,000.
Yep.
And it's like, how can a farmer afford that kind of stuff?
No,
Yeah,
we
like
can't.
Russell says, now 10 grand will get you a tire.
He's right about that.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, we make sure we drive properly, because you rip a sidewall and a tire, it's pretty expensive. You just don't replace the one; you got to usually replace them all too when you do that.
Yep,
Yeah,
you do.
but
And if you got duals, it's even worse.
Yeah.
yeah.
Cost
what
of
do you?
production's out of control. We need a better handle on costs. These guys
Well,
are
I mean,
they're
like
making too much money on us.
Yeah, like
Yep.
the price of I mean, you're in going into the commodities market in your honey sales. I do know that, to that bee mate or whatever it is you have up there.
Yeah, it's a Packer cooperative. Yeah,
And they're paying you nothing, as far as I'm concerned.
yeah,
per
we need
pound.
more.
And like you say, I mean, it's the same situation we had years in the 70s. You had the American car, and then you had all the Japanese cars coming in, and they, took over the market, a good portion of it. Now it seems like the car market, they've got Japanese plants in the United States, so they're being assembled here, and it kind of balanced things out a little bit, job market wise and price wise. But now you've got, like you say about the honey, you've got all these foreign honeys flooding the market. I know the U.S. can't supply all the demand, I think, in this country, from what I read. And it's like, how do you tariff the honey that's coming in to make our honey more competitive, or raise it
We
up?
just make damn sure that the honey coming in is actual honey. I mean, I think that's the point of it. Like the stuff
Yeah,
coming in that's cut with sugar, that's fraud.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's-
if you bring in, let's say, pure honey in, are they are because of labor costs, I guess, are they still cheaper than what you're getting for your honey, at bulk prices and stuff?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and I think if it was authentic honey coming in from other countries, for all the time and effort they put into it, they couldn't sell it for 80 cents a pound. It has to come in at $2 or $2.10 or $2.50 or whatever it comes in
I,
at. It
yeah,
it come in more of a competitive level. We just give these brokers an excuse to not pay the price they should, because they have this dollar honey coming in. It doesn't have to be a lot coming in, but it comes in and just gives them an excuse. I'll take that over there instead of yours over here, and it drives your price down. And that's
and then what irritates
bullshit.
me is you go into the grocery store and it'll say pure honey, and I take it off the shelf and I look at it, and you flip it around. Oh, it's 10% honey and 90% corn syrup.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's false advertising. It's like, how do you, I mean, look, I don't know what the laws state or what you have to have the percentage wise, but to me, that's absolutely false advertising.
I'm not smart enough to figure this issue out, so I don't want to pretend I am. But I just, it's got to be straightened out. We need a little bit more money for our honey. We need to cut our costs a little bit. It's just too. Well, I know. Oh, I won't get into politics, like bee politics. I mean, we don't have any type of support payments for. Well, we do have overwinter loss insurance programs. Was very costly and cumbersome, and we do extract money when we need to, but our deductible is 30% or stuff like that. So we do have safety net program, but when we do run into loss years, like we lost 3 or 4 years, our average loss across Canada is 35%. So we have to buy replacement stock in, and it increases our costs, and sugar is high and labor is high and medications are high because now we're having to treat our colonies like 5 or 6 or 7 times in the year. And it's just, it adds up. So we're at the break even. And we just need a bit more to keep going, and we don't seem to be able to grab it. So it's
That's the
just very
thing.
frustrating.
It's like the dairy industry down here, or like dairy or corn. I mean, you know, you look at the price of corn, and you got multi-million-dollar piece of combine with heads and different things like that, and it's like, how do you buy something like that at $4, you know, $3 or $4 a bushel corn? You know, you
No, you
can't.
can't. The farmers down there, they're in tight shape. Yeah, low commodity prices, cost of production. They're getting bailout money though. That's the crutch. A lot of there's a budget line on those farmers
Yep.
projections. Government subsidy, and it's been coming 2 or 3 or 4 years in a row already. So they're counting on it. And I was just listening to a commentary, and there might be another government shutdown down there for you guys, and that's going to delay this next payment. And the
Yep.
farmers are just not so sure about that. So, but the problem is, okay, I don't know if you want to get talking about this.
Well, Ian, I know you're
Subsidy
doing the
is
right
just
thing
causes.
because
I was going to
you've
say
got that
subsidy
old
causes
combine
problems.
you keep running, and you just keep piecing it back together and keeping it running. I mean, everything you're basically making with that, it's money. It's free and clear money, other than your repairs.
I got one guy here, and he does about 6,000 acres. Well, maybe close between 6 and 8,000. He rents and everything, and a big operation. And like you say, he gets that subsidy money. His profit margin is the subsidy money.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for that, he wouldn't be running as big as he's doing with all the big machinery and
No.
all that stuff. And he would have to make it in the real world, I'll say. And you wonder.
I have no problem with safety net programs or anything like that. Like, I believe we, as farmers, we take a lot of risk on. And I think society needs to assume some of that risk for us so we can just keep going through adverse weather, or, something bad happens out of our control. We need to, we need some help with to bear that risk. But this continual payment subsidy, don't think it does the farmer good. It just turns the farmer into the funnel. The farmer, starts what happens is the farmer doesn't get pressured, and they keep buying those inputs, and it doesn't force those input companies to drop the price of those inputs, because that farmer's still going to pay it. If that farmer can't pay it because they're going broke, that input price is going to go down. So what's turned into a situation where the farmer's going to go broke, the call for the government funnels through the farmer, pays off the bank, pays off the input company, pays off everybody else, and the farmer's still left with nothing.
Yep. Well,
it's just a problem I'm not going to solve here either. It's just holy crap, we're out of control as farmers, eh?
Yep. The 70s here in the United States, row crop farmers got paid not to plant fields by the government.
Oh, well. I see it happening in the bee industry too. Like, not up here, the government could give a damn about us. But you guys have a very valuable program called ELAP.
Yep.
And last year, I think, what is it, 65% of the colonies died in the States? I didn't hear a lot of complaint, because there's $100 million went down into beekeepers' pockets to help you guys out. And then you guys are able to tap into bees down south or whatever, repopulate boxes, and help the beekeeper from going broke. But what it also does, and this might piss guys off, but it also does, those big guys that fall in a tough shape, they get bailed out, and they just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? This is what keeps farmers small, is
I got a
hardship.
a friend of mine here.
It's a very controversial comment to make. So there's probably hate in that comment section right now over that. But it's the truth of the matter, as far as I'm considered.
You're right. It is.
There's a fellow, one of our folks is on the chat tonight, and he went down to Florida where they had the commercial beekeepers conference, I'll say. And I asked him, I said, what was that conference like? And it was one of the other alternatives to Nabi. And he said, they had some science speakers, every day. It's a 3-day conference, let's say. But he says the conference that they were no, there wasn't any seating left, and everybody was lined up around the wall. Was the guy telling about ELAP on how to tweak it and how to make it. You know, the whole crowd was there.
Yeah.
They were all ears.
Harming the government, eh?
They were all there for that class. Every one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I have no problem with it either to help guys through tough spot. But if you have it a yearly draw, it's just
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Brian there, he said it was at the American Hunter Producers Association.
Yeah.
And that's he was there. He was checking. He would just let me know what kind of what the difference was between that and Nobby and but it was all about commercial and they were all ears about ELAP. They could care about the rest of it.
Yeah.
So
at any rate, I'm going to carry on, guys. I appreciate these chats you have here. I always listen to you in the background when I'm doing stuff. So
yeah, well,
yeah,
appreciate you stopping by. Ian.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Ian.
Hopefully,
Really
you come back down, and we'll get to meet each other in person one day.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
when the politics calms down a little bit. It just seems everything's just ramped up right now.
It's terrible.
I'm not going to bring politics to your conversation, but there's things will settle out and things will solve it. So, just give it time.
Yeah, I hope so too. It's just some of this other crap that's going on here recently. It's just mind-boggling. So
one thing I do know, I go down to beekeeping meetings down in the States. So, and the Americans are the best people I know, and I've never had a convention yet that I've been down in the States where there's been any politics talked. And it's just so refreshing. It's all bees and bee politics. I love bee politics. Politics. I try to stay away from it if I can.
Well, I mean that's why I like, for me, like going to Nobby, I get to meet all my friends from all over the United States and Canada that follow us on these chats. And then we had a really great party. I guess it was Wednesday night. And
I seen your live. You're walking around with the camera.
Yeah, it was my first time doing that live, and I'm like, okay, we need to do a 3-minute video and upload it. It's better because it was so fuzzy. And I found out that it just didn't have the internet reception. But we had 175 people of just beekeepers and industrial vendors there, and we had a ball. And all
that's what I like about that expo is, these other association meetings I'm tied with, it's business and deal with commercial beekeepers and everybody's grumpy and all this. But that expo is attracting beekeepers and you're having fun. And I like that because that's what beekeeping is about in a lot of ways, is having fun, right? You guys had that room packed full of guys.
We're having fun. And then what's really nice about these nightly chats, we've become friends with each other all over the country.
Yeah.
And we discuss ways of doing things to maybe help each other out. Maybe it'll work for me and not so much for you because of location or something like that. I got a friend of mine that's making this, I call it magic fondant. And he's got a shipment coming in this week from me. And it's, the bees love it. And I was like, you can't do it. You can't do it at a commercial level, but just things like that, that his first batch he sent me just showed up. It was before Christmas time. I was like, what is this? And we were discussing his stuff on my show. And so he sent me 35 pounds of it. And I'm like, I used it here. It's on the hives now, and the bees are just devouring it and stuff. So I was like, man, this stuff is good. So anyway.
Okay, I got to log off. I'm going to start coughing here. So have a good night, guys.
See you, Ian.
You got to see ya. There he goes. Sorry, Dave.
Oh, it's all good.
So anyway, so your bees are doing good. You haven't lost any hives. And the last time I was watching some of your videos, you had some queen issues. I think what it was. I'm not sure. I can't remember now.
I think it was with one hive. I couldn't get one. I originally had 11 hives, and I could not get that 11th hive queen right. They just wouldn't take. I gave them a frame of what is it? I had queen cells pop up on one frame, and I moved those queen cells out of another hive and put them in there. They chewed those cells down.
Maybe there was a virgin in there.
Yeah, I don't know. And then once they just would not stay queen right, and then when I hatched out my queens, I put one of those in there and didn't take. So then I just split that hive up between all the other hives.
Yeah.
I'll say that was a real problem I had.
Yeah, I see. I just want to say welcome to Bowtie Beekeeper. I believe you're a new
Yep.
beekeeper that stopped by. We're here every Monday night from 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and I have my show on Fridays at
Friday night from 8 to 10.
Yeah, 8 to 10 Eastern Standard Time. Stop by. Sawmill Charlie's Bee Farm. You can go to my site and subscribe and get the information out.
So Clay just made a good statement.
What's that?
This week's going to tell us a lot about how strong our bees are.
Yeah, I got it was a overwinter nuke that I actually hand trucked out to the end of that behind me there to it didn't eat all of Matt's fondant. I put some bee bite in there. I mean, the bees were on it, but I'm just wondering how. I chose these 4 different nukes because I found them to be quite healthy and big at the time. I was watching them. You know, I knew I needed some for the winter, and I knew I would check them while we had that warm stuff several months ago, and so I don't know. So hopefully they'll survive. Maybe I'll have to go out there and do some camera work with my infrared camera, see what happens. But yeah, Bowtie Beekeeper, where are you located at?
Middle Tennessee.
Middle Tennessee. So it must be around Columbia.
Yep. Columbia to Nashville area, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I'm learning that's how they designate their state.
Yep. Yeah, it's very cold here too.
Yeah, down here we got I think it was probably about 6 inches or 7 inches of snow, and then the sleet came and it sleeted for like 8 hours. It was just straight sleet. And then by the end of last night, I think, or right when the sun went down, it was just rain at that point. And it turned everything into a solid sheet of ice.
Yeah.
Charlotte, just outside of Nashville.
And what's your first name, Bowtie? I like to get all the information down.
Yeah, he does. He's an information taker.
Just want to make sure that I can just call you by your first name. Dwight.
Dwight. You know who I haven't seen on here tonight?
What?
Tom and Melissa.
They might be at one of their bee meetings.
They might, yeah. Yeah, they do bee meetings on Monday night.
But well, that's I don't know. It's just like myself, Dave. I had 4 queens go down on me in 5 hives, and the one hive that's kind of out there, it's still tall on that row behind me. They requeen late in the season, and I didn't. Bill didn't think she was gonna mate. She did, and then she had a patch about 3 inches in diameter, cat brood with some eggs laying around it. And I took some global patties, put 1 big pound patty right over top of that brood. They ate it within a week or so. I think I got back there within a week, maybe a week and a half. And then I put another one on there, and that was gone about a week or so. I should have put a 3rd one on, but it was getting really late in the season. And I did I put some super DFM and stuff like that at the time. So they seem to be quite strong and all that. So that one worked out. Now the other ones, I took the bees from those 4 hives, and I actually put most of them into that one hive to give that hive bee power, as I call it, for them to keep everything nice and warm and protect the brood and stuff like that. And it worked out well. And I also something I did for, I don't know, I heard about it for years, just never did it. And that was get some 1-to-1 sugar water and put a little bit of peppermint oil in there, sprayed everybody down so they would, and put a piece of newspaper in, and they all seemed to get together and have no fights or no problems with that. That seemed to be working. That seems to be a positive outcome there. And all that, but I went ahead and transferred these. I figured 4 of my main nukes that I had for this insurance purpose, I put them out there. Oh, it's been a month and a half now since it's been pretty darn cold, and it was before the first year. And but I got the one out there. It just seems like it's a little bit weak and all, but then I got one they're still down low in the box. There was a nuke, and I actually put fondant on top of them, and then I put a shim, and then put the box up on top, which has honey in it. Put that back on there. Hi, Dinah.
You should have had Charlie come clean your driveway before you got back.
I think somebody already did. The way I read the Facebook page, I thought you were still down in Florida.
She just got back. Hey, Jack and Danette.
Yeah, when I cracked my hives open the other day to give them the fondant, it looked like all of them except for that one, they all had about like a volleyball-sized cluster. I won't say cluster, but it was just, they were all in one area, just walking around.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that's all right.
Yeah.
I don't really know what cluster.
Well, I had a big 10 framer out there, one of them purple highs, and it had the size of a basketball up on top of the frames, and they weren't just sitting there, frozen. They were moving all around.
Right.
And I put like about a 2-pound bag of fondant of Matt's Magic fondant on there, along and then this last time I put some bee bites on there. And Dwight, yeah, down in Tennessee, that's what I said, peppermint oil.
Yeah.
What that does, if you're combining 2 different bee boxes together from 2 different hives, you spray everybody with peppermint oil with sugar water in it, and they all smell the same. So except by the time they get done licking each other clean and cleaning everybody off with the sugar water on them,
they're pretty good friends by then.
They're pretty good friends by that time.
Yeah.
Just a trick of the trade. There you see there, you're a new beekeeper and you already learned a good nugget.
Yep.
And my stupid.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I just went ahead and merged frames together, bees and all.
There you go.
Yeah, you
I
can.
just set them on there. I don't put anything between them. I just set them up on there.
I've most of the time I usually just take a single piece of newspaper on there and throw that on there so they kind of eat through it. Usually they used to say slit it with a hive knife or something, but I forget. Every time I do that, I forget. So, and they seem to eat through it within a couple of hours.
Yeah, I haven't necessarily merged any full boxes together, but when I take 2 or 3 frames out of hives and just throw them in another one,
yeah.
threw them in
All
there.
that hive out there, what happened was I had one hive that was pretty small, like you said, about 3 or 4 frames. And then there was a hive that you can't see on the picture there. And I took 3 mediums and I compressed all them bees down into 1 medium box for a brood box. And they were probably 8 to 9 seams of bees. I mean, that box was full. And when I opened it, when it's like Ian does, when you want to see the true amount of bees, you always look underneath. That's what tells whether or not you got a box of bees. Well, they were hanging down about that much off the frames in there. And so I took and sprayed on that box. I sprayed at the top and I sprayed on the bottom. And then I sprayed the top of the second medium frame. It was 2 mediums already put together. And I laid that one down on there. And then, like you say, within 3 or 4 days, they pop the paper. And they were fine after that and all. Then the only other thing I did Thursday, like you said, you checked yours. I think Thursday, that was when that 50-degree day out there.
I did it last Monday. That was the only
it
time. It last Monday.
I did last Thursday when it was 50 degrees. We had that one window. I checked one of the hives out there that they were in the second deep or second medium box. The bees were in the top box. The bees were all downstairs where the food was. That's where I put the food to begin with a week sooner. And I pulled that one box off, put it on my little aluminum bench that I have. And I went through that second medium and they were kind of off to the right-hand side of the box. So I checked the frames off to the left. I think there was 4 frames that were basically empty, and I pulled them out. And I happened to have 4 frames that were in that top box that had pretty good size amounts of honey in there. And I just dropped all them frames in there. So there was at least a box full of honey. Left that box off there. They didn't need all that real estate. And then covered them back up, put the insulation back on top. Everybody's got 1.5 inches of styrofoam insulation. So hopefully that'll, keep the box, keep their environment, a nice dome of warm air in the top of the box, or help them regulate their heat situation about the cluster so they don't have to work so hard.
Yes, mine all they were all in the top box, but they were all in the middle. None of them were like off center of anything, and that's where the fondant patties were. But
well, with the fondant patties, yeah, that's the thing with my experience this year with fondant. I always looked at that as an emergency source, and I never could understand, why are you putting fondant on? It's not even, normally I'll say February is when you would check for bees starting to run out of food. But I'm kind of reevaluating my thought process on that, where one, I'll start evaluating whether or not they need any food by January, the first of the year. And secondly, I think that fondant or a candy board or something of that nature maybe needs to go on there, to where my thing with fondant is, from what I can see now, is that I want, a lot of times bees will starve because they can't move to the next frame. But if you can put fondant or a food source right on top of them, so all they have to do is kind of ease straight up to get it, then I think it's a good insurance policy and all that. So that's my take on it for right now.
Yes, I don't think that granted, this is my first year doing it, but like it doesn't seem like it would hurt them to, have it on there, even if they don't need it. They'll use it up at some point.
I always kind of looked at fondant as like icing on the cake. They'll go after the icing before they eat the cake, which is the honey stored in the frames. But I'm looking at my frames and I'm like, hey, they've already thrown my frames of honey, a good portion of them. And I know that's the nice thing about these chats. I talked to Ryan Peabody down in Southern Maryland in Charles County. He's seeing the same situation down there. Now, he is running some single deep boxes and single chamber boxes and that kind of stuff. So, they are kind of going through it more so quicker. I think around here, in my opinion, I think you really need a deep and a medium. That medium needs to be a good food source for them to really pack the honey or the sugar water honey away in the fall.
Yep.
While you're feeding them, it gives them.
My next year's plans is, I think I'm going to keep them with a double deep, but I'm going to put a single medium on the top, and that's going to be the one, like the insurance for the wintertime. I'm going to let them fill that out. And then anything else they make after that, I'm thinking about attempting the Demery method with some of them. I know you mentioned that you do it.
Yeah, I do it.
I might do it not with all of them, but with a couple of them, just to get the hang of it. But do it with the deeps. I know that's probably going to whip my ass, but
yeah. Well, see, that's why I go to mediums, and that's why I have a hive lifter.
And you're all mediums though, right?
I'm all mediums.
Right.
I take the philosophy of people like Ian and the commercial guys. The commercial guys use all deeps. Everything's the same size frame, the same size box. Everything is interchangeable to wherever you want to go. Well, deeps are just too heavy for me. And of course, Ian and them guys have the hive lifting machines that are cable rigged and they're set up for it.
Mhm.
And personally, I like medium. I mean, yeah, mediums cost a little bit more because you have an extra box, an extra 10 frames and stuff like that. But it's the same situation. Every box is interchangeable. Every frame is interchangeable. If I got brood in my honey frame, I can put that I can either leave it as a honey frame or take that out and put it down in the brood chamber or something like that.
Right. Yeah, so I got about 30 deeps that I still got to make up and about 300 frames for the next season.
It depends on how you want to run your apiary. I started out with deeps when I first started out. I'm like, this stuff is way too heavy. So I switched to mediums. And then here a year ago, I got a video where I'm running double deeps. I had a couple I had bought some bees in, and they were, of course, deeps. And I put them in, I had deep boxes. I said, well, instead of me trying to transition them and all that stuff, I just put them in a deep box. Well, then I relearned why I did not like deeps, because they are so heavy. And even with my hive lifter, cracking them and opening them boxes up, it was so hard. And this past year, I transitioned all that stuff out of there and all that stuff. Yeah, but I know Bowtie talked about mountain camp. Yeah, there's several people to do that on here. I don't know. To me, I'll say it's so beginner. I don't know. I think there's just other better ways of doing it. I mean, I'd rather make a sugar brick than make mountain camp. And,
Yeah.
It's a little bit less messier.
Yeah, I've never had a lot of success with mountain camp.
Well, the thing of it is, people got to realize one thing. You got to take the sugar and you got to add some vinegar or make it acidotic.
Yep.
Because the bees will take sugar out as trash right out the front door. So if
they will.
If you mix it up with some white vinegar, or it could be apple cider vinegar.
You could do apple cider vinegar. You could do white vinegar. Anything to put acid in it, then they'll take it. But just like a sugar brick or sugar.
Yeah, a sugar brick. I mix that. I mix water, apple, and vinegar, and then I make my sugar bricks. And then that way I can just place the sugar brick on top of I went through I got a video past years where I did a frame with half-inch wire underneath, and then I would put paper in it, and I would make basically a candy board that way. And then I took the paper out, and then the bees would go up there and make tunnels through it and all that stuff and make comb. And so then I got rid of the half-inch wire cloth, and I just make a wooden shim, put it on there, put the brick on top of the frames. It's direct access with the bees, and I'm done. Yeah, I still use my frames, my about 1.5 inches tall. Some of my hives, I got some rims around my inner covers where I can get a fondant patty in there without no much trouble. Or if it's too thick, I'll put a shim on it.
Yeah. That's what I like about those Nell hives with that propolis trap on the top. It's flexible. And even if I put a pollen patty on there that's 3/8 of an inch or 1/4 inch thick, that propolis trap will bulge up a little bit, but it doesn't affect the lid.
So I don't know, Bowtie or Dwight, best thing for you to do is experiment with different things. It's all part of the learning process.
Good night, Carl.
Yeah, night, Carl.
There's lots to learn. I've learned that.
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of different ways to get from A to B, and there's a lot of rabbit holes in between as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like with me. Like I was talking about the fondant. Well, I always looked at it like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Well, now I look at it a different way. It's more of an insurance policy for my bees and all. So as far as fondant goes.
Yeah, that's kind of how I look at it. It's like I just look at it as it doesn't hurt. Extra food in the hive, I think, by springtime they'll burn it up.
Yeah, well, I don't have a problem with that. I just want them to live between now and springtime.
Yeah, exactly.
My goal is I want a big old super duper hive that's, ready to roll come springtime. And that's why I'm feeding the pollen patties, to build them up, give them early pollen to boost them and let's get going here, and then that way, I mean, like with you're talking about doing a demery. Well, when you bring the way I do mine, I bring the solid brood frames up to the top. Well, I shake the bees all off, and then I put them in the top box. And you got honey supers in the middle, and you got your brood box in the bottom, and then bees will come all the way up through them boxes and cover that brood up. Well, I know where my queen's at. Then it's in the bottom box. Well, then I got options. I can either go in there and let those frames hatch and keep that hive getting bigger all the time to make more honey. Or if I need to make a cell builder, I can take a frame out of every hive with the bees on it, as nurse bees on it, and make a 5-frame cell builder. Or with me, it'd be 2 5-frame cell builders, and then let them hatch out. And then you got this super strong hive with fresh nurse bees. You're ready to drop a grafting frame in there, which will, I think when I did that this year after going to Bill's class, I think I had 28 out of 30 cells being accepted. I got, it's like, I know how to graft, but I couldn't cook that hive just right. You got to know that, got to set that hive up 7 to 10 days ahead of time, let them hatch out. Then you're ready to do the grafting and all. And stuff that, it's like I had a guy comment here on my demery that I made last year, and it was like, you're the first person that didn't take a long time to tell about it. And secondly, I was clear and concise on how to do it and what to do with your frames and how to put it all together and stuff. And that's my main goal in my videos, is to be very clear and very detailed. So you don't, a lot of times there's so many videos out there that they do not do the details, and you try to do it and it fails.
Now, do you have issues with queen cells in the top? You have to check for?
Yeah. After about 3 or 4 days, you want to go upstairs and check and see whether they're making any volunteer queen cells. And if you can do 2 things. You can either tear them down with your hive tool, or if you're trying to make a split, utilize some queen cells in a split. Take the whole darn frame out with the bees and put them in a 5-frame nuke split.
Now, another thing I've been thinking, do you do splits with any of your ones that you're demoing at any point? Like, do you split your hives in the beginning of the season, the beginning of spring, and then put demery on them, or do you just, the demery is kind of your split?
Well, see, a demery, you got 2 types of splits in a beekeeping. You got horizontal splits. That means you're splitting that hive and making another hive off to the right or the left. Or demery is a vertical split. You're taking the brood out of the bottom, putting it up top, put the honey supers in the middle. And what has happened there is this: when you make a regular split or a horizontal split, what did you do? You pulled the queen out and you pulled brood frames out, open and closed, as far as capped off and stuff like that. And you made a 5-frame split. And then you throw 5 empty frames back in there. and they're either going to make a queen or you're going to put a mated queen in that you bought. Well, you just gave that hive room for that queen to lay. Whether, let's say you put a mated queen in, so she's got 5 fresh open frames to lay in, along with whatever's hatching out on either side of it, the other 5 frames. That's the key to swarming. You know, everybody talks about the loose term of will add space. And I'm like, I've done that. I've put the box up on top and it's open and all that. And, you know, back in the double deep days, put that double deep, you know, you pull all these frames out. It's got honey in them right in the middle, the 6 frames in the middle. You put empty frames in. And what does the queen do? What does that hive do? They put honey up in there because they got too much space. You know, that's where Ian and all your commercial guys, they say, you know, they're doing single brood chamber management with putting honey supers on. They want a certain amount of space for that brood chamber. And then it forces, if you got a fresh queen and she lays up every hole with an egg in that brood chamber, whether it be a deep or 2 mediums, you just manipulated that hive to force them to put the worker bees to put all the honey up into the upper supers above it. And then if you keep pulling, like I do with the Demery, I take the honey supers off with my hive lifter. I pull the cap brood frames out, put empty frames in, make it shake all the bees off so we know the queen's in the bottom. Put it all back together. She continuously to lay. She won't swarm because that's the key right there. If she runs out of space to lay, they're packing their bags up and they're going to leave to find a bigger cavity because we ran out of space, laying space, not physical space.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put the brood frames upstairs and you just keep cycling it around and around from the top to the bottom, from the bottom back up to the top. And she just keeps hammering out the eggs. And that's that high. If you don't take the brood frames out, they all hatch out. Guess what? You got more bees and more bees and more bees. And that means more workforce. And that means more honey coming in because you got more workforce there in that hive because it never will swarm.
So what would be your recommendation for, I kind of want to get like at least 5 more hives this year. I was like, whatever comes out, I was going to double it. But then I also want to do the Demery and I can't double everything and do what I'm thinking, do successful Demerys. So would it be better to do like 2 to 3 frame splits at some point or?
Oh, I would do at least, well, I would make a nuke box, 5 frame nuke box. And now are you going to put, first thing is, where are you going to get your queen from? From the original hive, or are you going to let them make their own queen?
I was going to make my own. I was going to do grafting.
You're going to graft.
Right.
That's going to be May when you're grafting, late April, early May.
You need to come to my rearing class.
When's that?
You're going to graft late, or let's say early May, if the weather's right. Last year was cold, and you can make queen cells and then just put the cells in there and let them, let her hatch out. Or if you put open brood in there in springtime, it's easier. I mean, I've had it where I've sold a nuke off and the queen, the original overwintered queen, by the time I would get a mated queen to me, because I would be going down south to get them, they've already started queen cells. They're making their own queen. You can let them do it that way. And then, but you gotta,
or you could possibly take one out of the Demerys if they made them up in there.
well, if you want to, yeah, you could do that. But I mean, the main thing of it is when you're putting all that brood upstairs like that, and depending on how many Demerys you're doing, then you need to pull. Oh, you don't even really have to do a Demery. You could go into every hive and, well, the easy way to do it is pull the brood that you want frames that you want. Let's say you got some egg frames, egg, cap brood, different stage of larvae, brood that's about ready to hatch. Bring that up out of your, shake all the bees off, bring that out up out of your brood box and put a queen excluder. I mean, let's say you're doing what, double deeps?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd go in there and I would pull the frames out that you want, put them off in a box by themselves, shake the bees off. And if you can shake and then put some empty frames in there, but then put another box up on top, put a queen excluder on first, let them bees come up there and cover all that brood up, and then take those 5 frames or 3 frames of brood or whatever you pulled out of there, put them in a nuke box, and then have a honey frame if you can find one, and an open frame possibly, or a pollen frame would be better. Pollen frame and a honey frame, and then set that nuke off where you want them to be, where they're going to either raise their own queen or you're going to provide a queen.
I was going to attempt doing grafting again this year and hopefully get better results. But now I think you commented on one of my video. I think I may have stumbled into a hygienic gene line, because there was a lot of uncapping going on, and all my queens that I grafted, not a lot, but they were uncapping cells, and I want to attempt to maybe tap into that gene line a little bit further and see if I can actually get more.
Well, then you want to take that. If you got that queen that you're looking at, and you want to start grafting off her.
It's not. Yes, I have multiple options. There's like 5 of the hives or 6 of the hives were doing it. None of the original queens that I got were Carniolan queens that I got from Man Lake. None of them did that. Only the ones that I grafted showed the uncapping of the cells.
Well, I don't know. You don't know where Man Lake's getting their queens from.
But I do know they were daughters of those queens, but what they went and mated with, I don't know if it's somebody else's hive around here has some kind of or hygienic gene line or not, or if it's just wild bees out there. But they came back and I started noticing the uncapping. I want to try and tap into that a little bit, plus practice making queens again, or practice making queens, making cells and all that. Because last year I got, I did 30, was it 35 or was it 30? I think it was 30, 10 per bar. And I only had 11 hatch out.
I think there's 15. Well, if it's a normal bar, it's
15.
15.
It was 45 then. Yeah, I did all 3 bars and I only had 11 hatch.
Too many bars. Do 2 bars. If you're going to do it, a nuke. Depends on what's your cell builder. Is it a 5 framer or a 10 frame box?
The one I did was a 10 frame.
And did you have it congested enough?
So I did the Bob Benny thing.
I've tried to watch that, and I'm like,
I took all the
I'm
at
not
the
real.
beginning. I took all the bees and I just dumped them into the bottom box, and then I put the queen up top, and then I flipped them the next week. They didn't take too many of those boxes though, or take too many of the cells. I think it was 18 in total that they capped off, but I only had 11 hatch.
Yeah, I would try nukes, because you can compress the bees in there easier.
Right.
If you're going to do a queen-less cell builder, that's what I do. I don't have a queen right cell finisher type of thing.
Mm.
You got to have a 10 frame box. You got to have a tremendous amount of bees.
Yeah. So
yeah, you do, don't you, Charlie?
He had, was it 8 frame box, Bill?
Yeah, I had an 8 frame box that was full of bees. Plus, we put an additional 6 pounds of bees in each box.
And that was just packaged bees that just, you dumped them in there.
Right.
And then it was cold. Bill scheduled it 2 more weeks later because of the cold weather. And there was, a big beard up the front of that hive. And it got down to what, 40 degrees that night, 30 degrees, 40, I'll say. And we went back, we went over to shut some windows because there was a storm or something coming. We forgot to close some windows. And we rolled in there to check those hives, and all them bees had sucked inside that Anel hive. And let's see, Mark Zennery, Demery, the Demery splits eye last year pulled a lot of comb, did a let's see. Yeah, well, the big thing it is like upstairs when I'm putting the cat brood, maybe let's say 4 frames of cat brood, I'll fill the rest of that box out with foundation, and they will build a comb out on that, and they'll start packing honey in if there's any honey coming in, and all that.
So I saw one of them said something about a rolling demery, and that's where you just keep swapping. They fill it up. You keep.
That's what I do. I do a rolling demery where you have a traditional demery, the actual demery that like George Demery invented back in 1892. He took the whole. If he took all the brood in the bottom box, the bottom deep, and then he had another box sitting off to the right, and he pulled a frame of eggs and larvae with the queen on it, stuck it over there, and then he maybe pulled 1 or 2 other, I'll say, food frames and maybe some more brood. Took that original box off the bottom, put that box that had the queen in it on the bottom board, queen excluder, let's say a honey super, and then put that big box up on top. Then go back and cut out all the cells in that top box. And within go back in 7 days and cut everything out, and then everything's aged out. They can't make any queens after that. After you make sure you destroy every last one of them. Take every bee off of every frame and look every little nook and if you think it's a possible cell, it might be a drone, nick it anyway. And she'll start laying down there, and you won't have to mess with that hive for about 3 or 4 weeks because she'll lay everything up there. Now, my question with that idea is that you got all your nurse bees and everything up here. So where's all, what's downstairs for her to work with? She needs some bees down there, and that kind of thing. For me, I do it more of a weekly thing where I go in, harvest out the cat brood, put the empties in, put it all back together, put the empties upstairs, and do it that way.
So I did see a video with somebody who did a demery, and I forget who it was because this was about like 6 months ago. They were running a double deep operation, and they wanted to do the demery method, so they took both boxes off the bottom, both deeps off the bottom, and then had 2 honey supers in the middle, put them on top, and then put 2 fresh. Granted, he did have already drawn comb for his hive, but he put 2 fresh deeps on the bottom.
I don't know why he did that. I don't know. That and now you had hey Bracken. You had what's his name from England over there, and he explained the demery, which is the original demery. The biggest thing is people talk about, well, you can put foundation in the bottom and they're going to draw the wax out and all that. And I've got the original. I found you can go to the internet, put on a George Demery, and it was back then they didn't have the internet, so those guys were talking through the magazines and commenting on the notes back and forth. Back then they were kind of like writing letters to everybody. And I got to tell people, I was like, now look, when you read this, you got to remember one thing: you got to be turned into a beekeeper that's living in 1892. So when they say they're putting foundation in there, they ain't putting plastic in there. They're putting wired wax in there.
Yep. Or just straight comb wax.
Or drawn comb. And he states that in his writings. And it's kind of old English, the way he writes it, is that either if you don't have the drawn comb, you can put foundation, i.e. real wax. And then you got to remember one thing too. This is 100 years ago. So back then there was no sprays. There were open fields with meadows with all kinds of flowers and stuff that was pollinating and nectar sources. And it was, I mean, a friend of mine up here 50 years ago, he told me it's common for him to get 100 to 150 pounds of honey around where I live. Now, if you get 50 pounds, you're lucky.
Yep.
Because of the farming practices and stuff where, we don't have fence rows anymore and stuff like that. And the environment has changed. You can't do everything what they used to do. And all. I mean, it's like we put on probiotics and all these different things in our hives a lot of times to help the bees out. Well, why are we doing that? Because the environment has changed. So anyway, well, Bracken, I've checked your building out and it's too small. Turn your
Yeah, I know.
Well, the way your video stated, half of that building is going to be your dad's storage place.
Yeah.
I thought you were building all that was yours.
No, eventually maybe, but there's more to it than.
Yeah, but by the time you put your cow and extraction line in, you ain't gonna have a whole lot of space left.
I've drawn it out. I went out and measured everything. It's actually going to be it'll be pretty good. It'll work.
All right. Well, you're doing it in your father's shop right now? I think at wood shop or something. When you it's in my grandma's garage. Okay. Well, this is definitely a step up. You can get it where you can leave the equipment there, hopefully, and wash it, and where you can use a hose. Just wash it down without having to take it outside or whatever.
Yep. I'm going to put a drain in there, and I'm going to run water to it, and I'm going to have good power and good plugs, and it'll be good. It'll be good. It'll be a little bit smaller, but with my cow and uncapper and my 60 frame extractor, and you guys haven't seen my new equipment that I've got yet. I might have shown, but my like my clarifying tank and my honey pump and all that. I might have shown it, but I haven't used it yet. So I got to get that all built, and a lot of it will go on the wall. So I'm actually going to utilize a fair amount of room. Will be up one of the walls. It'll pump the honey from the extractor up into the clarifying tank. That'll be up high. So that won't take up floor space. That'll just take up wall space. And then it'll drain from the clarifying tank down into barrels. And then from the barrels, I'll fill it into buckets.
Yeah, for idea wise, I mean, I think it's kind of like where Tom and Melissa from Via Honeybees, they've got a nice video how they set up they got kind of like a cow uncapping machine, but it's licensed, and then they got their spinner and then dumps that into a clarifier, and then it has a pump on the clarifier, which it pumps over to a 55-gallon drum that's got another sieve. It's the thing that you can put like a cheesecloth type of thing in there and cut out more of the chunks and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But
well, Bracken, I'm sure it's going to be a huge step up for you and make life a lot easier.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. Eventually I'll have more room than I'll ever need. But
well, you can build another lean-to on the other side of the barn. That way your father can have that and you can have this one over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope he lives to be 100, but with his health and stuff going on, I'm not sure how long he'll be around. So I'll get
how's the bees out in California for you right now?
They're doing good. Oki's been sending me some videos and updates, and we actually just had a chat yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think it was just it might have been Saturday. I don't know. My days are all. It's today's Monday, huh?
Monday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Today's Monday.
Yeah. I've been working the last 8 days straight.
Hmm.
Anyways, yeah, they're doing good. He says he's put some feed on some of them. He's got contracts locked down. He's got, everything's good. He says it's good.
So
No
are
bad
they
news. No news
are
is
they
good news.
are they still in the holding yard, or are they still getting
Yeah.
ready to go to almonds?
They're still in the holding yard. Let's see, until I think he
February.
said they start placing them the first or second week of February. So I guess that's
It's only,
next.
only a week or two away.
Yeah, that's only a week or two away. But
Well, that's good. I think you were saying that you were gonna go out there and try to was you gonna make splits out there, or try to get them back home before they?
I want to try to get them home before I make the splits. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the plan.
Get any snow out there? Well, a video I seen, you were just drinking hot chocolate. So there wasn't no snow around. I seen.
No, there's no snow out there.
Uh,
Here, I don't know if you can. Let's see.
yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that things are working good for out in California.
Yeah, they are. They're doing good.
Good.
They're doing
How's
good.
how's the wife's I guess security boards or whatever it was?
Yeah, paddle boards.
Yeah,
They're good. She makes pretty good money off of those things.
well, that's good. I know they are big around here, putting cheese on them and all that kind of stuff. People make
Yeah.
them. I know one guy, he came in here and he had like I'll call it a pretty good sized cutting board, with, different types of lumber in it, like walnut and maple and maybe, stuff like that. And they were like over several $100s a piece. I'm like, really? And I'm like, yeah. So
Yeah. I'm every day I come home and she'll have 2 or 3 on the table, and I'll be like, geez, where are these going? She's got a map of the US and she puts a tally on every place that she sent. We
yeah.
looked at it the other day. There's only 5 states she hasn't sent to.
Huh.
And two of those are Hawaii and Alaska.
Hmm.
So
Well,
she's
you
doing pretty good.
And you're what, doing cutting out or gluing up for her or something? Or?
Yeah, I go out and cut them, and then I cut them, router them, sand them, and then she takes and paints them and stains them or puts letters on there for, your last name, stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. Next thing you have to be buying is probably a laser engraver for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Might have to.
That's what they do around here. They engrave the names, and stuff like that. And who was it? Somebody was we're doing these cutting boards, I guess you call it, and they were realtors selling houses. So whoever bought a new house from them or a house, he would have for a present to the new homeowner for buying it. They would have a cutting board with their last name engraved on it or something, and sell it and that kind of stuff. And it was doing quite well when the housing market was booming. He said he had like a couple of employees and himself doing this stuff on a weekly basis. And now he's down just to himself. He said, I can do the amount of volume within a day or two himself. Hey, Mike, from Easy.
I'm trying to share my plans here. I don't know if
you got to bring your plans up and then hit the share button and click on them.
I put share screen and it shows it down in the bottom.
Hey, Bill, Charlie, I'm gonna hop out of here.
All right.
So,
See you, Dave.
I'll be around.
All right, bud.
Just working a lot, but I'll catch y'all later. Thank you.
You got to bring your plans up first, Bracken. You got to bring it up in the background and then share.
too many pictures.
Go. Not
Well,
in,
I have it pulled up as a picture on my. It's on the back. Yeah, I got the picture pulled up.
Now click share. And it's going to ask you what you want to share.
It keeps telling me there's a problem with the file.
hey, Travis.
If there was an issue with your file, please. That's why I was just trying to share my screen and then show it.
Now you find the file that you want and click on that. It'll come up, and then go to
No,
the.
it's
then
saying
you-
it says there is an issue with your file. Please try again. And I've tried it 3 times and it keeps denying me. So maybe there's something wrong with my picture.
see
I
it,
don't know.
Walt.
But I wanted to show you,
Right.
Charlie. That doesn't show. Gosh dang it.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm not tech savvy here. Too much. Anyways,
Is it a
how
JPEG?
are you guys doing?
Is it a JPEG or a PDF?
It's just a picture on my photos. But it's not. Let's see, share image. Maybe I can try that.
There you go. Share image.
Copy. Just a sec, Snella. File. No, it's still telling me I have a file error. That's all right. But I took and I went and measured all of my equipment and I measured it right down, to the inch, whatever, centimeter. And I took and I put it in a computer program. I took my floor space and that, I've got 467 square feet to work with. That's my square footage of my floor plan. So then I put each item that I have, I put my extractor tank, I put how tall it was, I put the dimensions, I put my clarifying tanks, my barrels, 2 pallets, and I measured everything and put it in that thing, and then I was able to go in there and make a 3D model and put, you know what I mean, so I could see it. And it gives me quite a bit of room the way I've got it designed. It's going to be pretty sweet.
What's that? A Draftman's type program or something?
Yeah,
modeling?
I just got on and downloaded a free trial of a engineering app, and I just typed in all the plans, and then it had like shape for the shapes and stuff. Like my extractor, I was just able to put a cylinder, and then I was able to put the dimensions of the cylinder, and yeah, so I got it right down to the. It's tight, some of it'll be a little bit, but it'll work. It'll work good. I wish I had the whole thing. And he did mention, because he's got a 67 GTO. It's all finished. It's beautiful car. The other half of that is the car's home.
Oh, going to put the goat on the other side.
Yeah, he's going to put the goat in there. So the goat gets the other half. But he also told me that when I'm extracting and going through that, I can move the goat into the other shed, and I will be able to utilize what I need. But the other half, I won't have to move anything. So
It'll be cool.
Well, I know it's getting late. I just wanted to jump on and say hello to you guys. It's been a minute since I've seen you.
Thanks for the update and everything that you did out there.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll try to. I'll try to.
Friend of mine, they sent their bees out there. Will and Robert sent their bees out along with us. I don't know. There were 6. They said there were 6 tractor and trailer loads that went out there. Where they went. where they went to. They only had about 80 or 100 hives that they put on they were filling out the trailers.
Right, but still,
But the other
whoever-
guy had six
That's a lot of
trailers he was pushing out there. So hopefully it's their first time out. So hopefully they'll have a positive outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard the horror stories. Knock on wood, I've yet
know.
to. Well, I kind of had one my second year, but that was more. That wasn't necessarily
Guy
out there.
got
That was,
locked up and whatever.
yeah, that was more personal. That was still. I'll tell you what. I've never been that. Oh, I hated that. That freaked me out.
Well, at least you found your bees and got them
Yeah,
back.
that is true. I did get.
Well,
You are right.
Got Okie there, and he'll sound like to me he's the right hand man on that.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's phenomenal. And anytime I have, I mean, he sends live video or you know what I mean, updates, footage, and he's been great. I almost need to tell him you don't need to just if they're good, tell me. If they're bad, if some, but he goes above and beyond. So makes a good man. But I gotta go take care of a screaming child.
All right. We'll
All
see
right.
you
Have a good one.
Yeah, see you guys. Thanks for letting me pop on for a sec.
now.
Yep.
Well,
Well,
that was interesting. Had a good night here as far as Ian and
Yeah.
Bracken and Dave and all.
it's 10:02. It's a Monday night. I don't know how many of y'all have got to work tomorrow.
I
But,
might have an easy day tomorrow. We told to help stay home.
It is a school night, so
Well,
sure
school's been shut
somebody's
down.
got to work.
Somebody's shut, they've shut the school down, I think, for a day or two here, I think. They're finally getting the roads cleared.
Yep, the wife is off tomorrow. They closed county government, so
Hey, Travis or Mike, did you guys get your approval or get your papers from the EPA yet? Or is it still too way early? That's the only question I have. I've seen.
yeah.
So it's only 7:02. You must be out there.
You must be on the West Coast.
He's on the California side.
Well, I'm gonna shut her down. And
Good to see everybody. I'll see you Friday night. 8
Joey,
p.m.
you coming? You gonna come in here, or what are you gonna do? So, give you an opportunity. So, all right. Well, y'all have a good night. See you Friday night on Charlie's Chat. Yeah, we're gonna hang at Joey. So tomorrow night is Maccabees. He's gonna be on at 7:30.
And we got
Charlie's on Friday night.
tomorrow night's Bob Walker's channel, I believe. I think he'll be on tomorrow night at 8.
Yeah, Maccabee's supposed to be on tomorrow night too at 7:30. So, and then Saturday night is Joey's channel. So we'll see y'all Friday night. Night.
See you, Dinah.